another guy has been a very busy man this month on this glorious Pride Month. Matt Walsh. He got to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of What is a Woman, his hit documentary that has been, I've watched it twice. It is absolutely phenomenal. And I highly recommend you watch it, whether it's on Twitter, the Daily Wire, however you can watch it. But yesterday, Matt Walsh released a thread on Twitter, on the Twitter sphere. And pretty much going after the trans healthcare and seeing how easy it is to get this letter to be able to get the life-altering trans surgery. And I will leave the I will put the start of the thread in the description below for you to look at. But Matt Walsh tweeted in a thread, the largest trans healthcare providers in the US are rubber stamping letters of approval of approving gruesome life-altering surgeries. It is such a racket that my producer was approved for testicle removal in 22 minutes. And then there was some background stuff, but pretty much his producer, who went undercover as someone who is suffering from, well, he wanted to get his you-know-what cut off. And after he got the stamp of approval to get the surgery after a 22-minute Zoom call, the where was it? What's it called? Plume? Yeah, Plume is a trans healthcare organization who helps with getting people the recommendation to get these horrific surgeries. And pretty much Matt Walsh's producer was able to get this in 22 minutes through a Zoom call. He later expressed to the person that he doesn't have gender dysphoria, but he was still able to keep the letter of recommendation without the people at Plume to adjust the recommendation, and pretty much saying that you need this letter so that the surgery can be covered by health insurance, which is insurance fraud, knowing full well that this person is not suffering from a mental condition that you are saying that he has, and you know fully well that he does not. This is the most open form of insurance fraud, and that every single attorney general in the country should be going after these groups, Plume Clinic and Folx, Folx. These people have openly committed insurance fraud, God knows how many times, allowing people who would either A, grow out of gender dysphoria and become gay, or actually need legitimate help. They didn't help. That getting them these surgeries does not help them. It only deteriorates their quality of life, which no sane person would say is a good thing. And that and for the people saying that Oh, they just want to live their true self. You can't be your true self when you come up with a character in your own head of who you want to be. That is not physically possible. That is not your true self. That is a character you made in your head. Your true self would be growing up naturally. And if you go on to be gay or lesbian or bi, whatever, that's fine. But to sit here and say that you are of the opposite gender is just not correct. It is a false reality that will never be true. And then they begin to chase that reality that is never true, trying to find a piece of themselves that just isn't there, that just isn't real. And playing into that delusion does not help. It does not help the person who needs the help. They need to be in front of an actual therapist working through these issues, not a trans activist pretending to be a doctor. Because that's what these gender mutilating surgeons are, pretend doctors. And every single person who has done these gender affirming care, whether they are 16 years old or 46 years old, they should be stripped of their medical license and thrown in prison for the rest of their lives. Because this transgender ideology is incredibly, incredibly dangerous and should not be tolerated. And all these people that are suffering from gender dysphoria, actually truly suffering from gender dysphoria, should get actual help that they need. Because playing into someone's delusion does not help them, it hurts them even further. And having to take these medications and do these things to make sure that they don't get infected and potentially die is not a high quality of life. And it needs to, this ideology needs to end. Now, not only did Matt Walsh unveil this bombshell report, but he also was able to unveil the teammate of William, currently known as Lia Thomas. Her name is Paula Scanlon. I apologize if I butcher the name, but she had a sit down interview with Matt Walsh, and she was in the What is a Woman documentary, but she was the anonymous person in that documentary. But she had a sit down interview, and this is a little bit of what she was having to deal with while at the University of Pennsylvania and having William Thomas as a teammate on the girls' swim team.
I mean, what are those girls? Do they say anything? Do they register any kind of protest against that?
Yeah, actually, one of the girls, very upset. She went crying to the athletic department, and something in that conversation, I don't know what they said to her, but she then was completely on board and thought Lia swimming was like this magical, beautiful thing.
This magical, beautiful thing. After going in and being and crying about it rightfully, that you have to assume that this girl who was uncomfortable changing in a locker room with a biological man, fully intact, I may add, and to come out with a complete change of heart, I can only imagine what she was threatened with. And yes, I'm using the term threatened Here's cut 2.
They said, "Don't talk to the media. You will regret it."
Is that a direct quote? You
Yep.
will regret it.
Yep. Another thing they said is Lia swimming is a non-negotiable. And then they provided us with counseling services to help us be okay with Lia swimming.
Counseling? For what? Being comfortable being naked in front of a man in a woman's locker room? Pennsylvania, the Penn is an Ivy League school. It is supposed to be the best, the brightest, the most diverse thought in America. That's what the Ivy League's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the brightest among us. And to force women to change in a locker room in front of a man, a fully intact biological man, and to be threatened when they are uncomfortable with it, and to, if you speak to the media, you will regret it. These are 18 to 21-year-old girls being threatened by Pennsylvania, by the Ivy League, by the NCAA, that if you speak up, you will regret it. Now, I am not yet a father, but I can promise you this. If you threaten my daughter like that, and I don't care what age she is, there is going to be hell to pay. You think you have seen the angriest of people? Wait till someone in my family gets threatened like that by someone who is supposed to protect these women. Not throw them in the lion's den. You're put, and again, I've used this quote several times. You're putting the fox in the hen house and then wondering what the hell happened to all the chicken in the morning. I can't even fathom what these women went through, being forced into silence and having to change in front of a fully intact biological man in Lia Thomas. And how selfish does someone like Lia Thomas have to be to not only be in the switch over to the women's team, but to take a trophy from a biological woman who he tied with in Riley Gaines out of Kentucky, and to call yourself a champion and then cry about it as soon as you get actual true backlash from Riley Gaines from now. And I'm going to wait for him to cry again from what Paula has come out with. And I really hope that more people from Penn on the swim team come out and share their stories, because these stories need to be told. Because it's not just these women, but other women, as young as 14, 13-year-old girls being subject to having to share a locker room with biological boys. And it's not right. It's never been right. It never will be right.